Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 14 days away from its official release by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, as well as creator George Lucas. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 that a lot of fans are very much on edge about is exactly how they are going to utilize all of the different revelations, the twists and turns in this movie, and exactly how it's all going to be executed on the big screen. So that's one thing about The Rise of Skywalker, is that a lot of fans are very worried about exactly how Disney and Lucasfilm will be answering many of the burning questions from The Force Awakens, and everything that there is need to be said for a specific character, a core character in the movie, such as Emperor Palpatine, also known as Darth Sidious. Now, this movie, by the way, Palpatine is going to be the main driving force for the reason as to why fans want to go ahead and check out the film. From what it seems, Palpatine really is used for the overall marketing of Episode 9, etc., etc. So, what's really unfortunate has all to do with one of the last-minute decisions that were made in the month of November of this year, just last minute by Disney and Lucasfilm, that I honestly believe is going to be a recipe for disaster for fans and just causing a lot of confusion. Now, it's explained that through many of the reshoots and rewrites of the film by Disney and Lucasfilm, it's explained that they wanted to restructure the entire plot at the time to make the film cater to a general audience, to make the film perform better at the box office. It said that this decision had a massive impact on the second and third acts of the film, where many scenes were deleted from the movie to the point where it was drastically different in comparison to the previous cut of the film. Now, it's explained that one of the core scenes from the actual previous cut of the movie, it's explained that from the second act of the film have been deleted, and will only be answered in the official novelization for Palpatine's survival, of where it's explained that one of the key scenes that Disney deleted had to do with the explanation of Palpatine's death/survival. It said that originally they wanted to have an entire scene that would explain Palpatine's survival and his fake death at the end of Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, where now it's said that they also deleted the scene and are saving the explanation for the official novelization and a deleted scene on the Blu-ray. Though Palpatine will briefly explain or hint as to how he survived, the specifics of it all will not be explained in the movie, leaving fans questioning themselves as to how Palpatine survived the fall of the second Death Star in great detail. One of the scenes is said to involve Leia and others talking about Palpatine's return, where the scene is said to establish that one of the characters learned that he returned by using some form of dark magic, which would actually connect to the previous leaks of Palpatine using the wormhole to escape the second Death Star to transport himself over to the world of Exegol. It's explained that this decision was made to make way for other plot points and to make room for some of the other characters instead of having an entire scene about Palpatine's survival on the second Death Star being explained. The sequence is said to make its way to the Blu-ray edition of the movie, however it will be explained even further in the upcoming novelization of the film. Disney wanted to do this also to keep discussions going for fans after they have seen the movie, and that J.J. Abrams reset some of the scenes in early November when they were patching parts of the movie. The scene originally was based in the first act of the film, where Palpatine would explain in full detail of how he survived. Though Palpatine will only explain a part of how he survived, the full answer is not in the final cut of the film. Now, this is believed to actually confuse many fans and audience members that go and watch the film. However, this is said to be a strategy by Disney for fans to check out the Rise of Skywalker novelization and other forms of canon material to learn more about his death in great detail, and that also the full story of Palpatine controlling Snoke will also be explained in the novel due for release in March of 2020, which will answer many burning questions as well. This is said to be a last-minute decision by Disney and Lucasfilm. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and as to why I think that this is by far one of the worst decisions that Disney actually decided. Now, one thing that a lot of fans are just questioning themselves over and over is exactly how in the world did Palpatine survive the fall of the second Death Star? Now, from the leaks that we went over a couple of weeks ago, we explained this in great detail, is that Palpatine survived the fall by using an ability called basically the wormhole, or the portal if you will, that allows him to travel through space and time over to the world of Exegol. Now, this is said to be an ability that Palpatine learned at some point in time in Star Wars Rebels, where you do see him using the ability in the Worlds Between Worlds episode. That's exactly what he used in Return of the Jedi, apparently. However, this will all not be explained in full detail in The Rise of Skywalker, and that scene in which Palpatine explains all of this to Kylo Ren in the first act of Episode 9 has been cut and moved over to the Blu-ray, and will be further explained in the novelization, which drops before the Blu-ray. So in the novelization, we will be learning basically about every single step of the way of how Palpatine survived the second Death Star wreckage. Now, the thing about that I believe is going to confuse a lot of fans and is really by far the worst decision by Disney and Lucasfilm is that you have a lot of casual fans, and a lot of casual fans don't really know about, all these different force powers that Palpatine learned of, or other force powers that will be introduced in the film and exactly what it really means. So I believe that this is really going to be a recipe for disaster. It really is, because when you look at The Rise of Skywalker, you want answers. You want answers, about how Palpatine lived. And that's the biggest question of all. You're bringing back Palpatine in the flesh. Why wouldn't you answer as to exactly how he's back? Now, they are going to touch on that answer, but not in great detail. He's going to be very vague about it in the final cut of Episode 9. And the deleted scene in which Palpatine reveals it in full detail is going to be saved for 2020. Now, obviously, it seems like that this is Disney's way of kind of just stringing along the fans and leaving them in the dust or leaving them in the dark, kind of similar to what happened with why the Skywalker saber called out to Rey. That was never really answered in great detail, because now that Palpatine is related to Rey, why in the world would the Skywalker saber, call to Rey? Now, based on the leaks that we went over just yesterday, is because Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost was reaching out to Rey to find the saber. That's apparently the answer in Episode 9. So, moving on forward through all of this, the reason as to why I think that this is a very bad decision by Disney and Lucasfilm is because, well, this is the biggest question of all. Because not only does it kind of interrupt Anakin's sacrifice at the very end of Episode 6, but it also kind of dwindles down the emotion of the scene in Episode 6, where you believe that Anakin destroyed the Sith once and for all, but really at the end of the day, he only postponed the Sith. Basically it was only a delayed response of Palpatine coming back into the picture, once again into the galaxy, where Rey's going to be the one to destroy the Sith once and for all and becomes the chosen one. So that's the one problem that I do have with this, is that a lot of fans out there, I really feel for the fans out there, they're going to go into this wondering, how is Palpatine back? There's still a lot of fans out there that are very confused of how Darth Maul even survived in, of course, Star Wars, Rebels and such, and how, that was all explained as well in other episodes and other animated TV series, how it was touched on in the Clone Wars a bit as well. A lot of fans are very confused about Darth Maul's survival still after The Phantom Menace and after all the different canon pieces that were introduced. So you can only imagine how many people are going to be confused with Palpatine's survival on the second Death Star. And I think that this is just going to cause a lot of frustration that it will not be answered in full as to exactly how Palpatine survived. Now, like I say, the leaks that we went over is that he actually used a wormhole and traveled through space and time from point A to point B to the unknown regions. And that could very well apply to the scene where Leia and the Resistance are talking about Palpatine's survival being related to dark magic. That dark magic most likely is the portal that we have been talking about for a number of months now, right? So, like I say, I think that this is the more interesting aspect of Episode 9 is the Palpatine scenes. The fact that Ian McDiarmid is back once more, the man himself, I think is going to be the highlight of this movie, without a doubt. I think that a lot of fans are going into this wanting to see Palpatine, and I think that's the ultimate truth, and that's the truth, I believe, at the very center of it all, is that a lot of fans are looking at Palpatine the way that they looked at Luke with The Last Jedi, and let's just hope that Palpatine is not a big disappointment in this movie as far as how he looks, or how he acts in the film, and how he's going to be executed on the big screen. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.